C-H-R-I-S-T. We serve C-H-R-I-S-T. We praise C-H-R-I-S-T. We love C-H-R-I-S-T.
Bring it up, bring it up.
Hello everyone, this is Rick from Upper Room Apparel. Introduce myself on the introduction video, but I'll be the one handling most of this ministry for the videos. What our discussion tonight is Halloween. Since it's coming up, we want to put a video out to kind of basically expose it and to give more information about it. One thing that we will be doing is sticking by facts. We will be sticking by documentation from multiple sources, so it's not just something that we believe, because if you can't really back up what you're saying, you're being silly. So a lot of holidays as we know it are not how they really are, to put it lightly. They have been misconstrued, and a lot of them have a lot of pagan roots, which Halloween definitely has. What we have to understand is that this world is run by Satan, and he does a great job at deceiving us, at making things seem different than they are, misconstruing the facts, and making us kind of ignorant to certain things. That is why studying to show yourselves approved and researching are very important, because we need discernment and knowledge and everything to be able to know what is right and what is wrong. These are one of those topics that people aren't really going to like. They don't really discuss these things in church or youth groups or much of anywhere. So that's one of the reasons we want to do this. There's an underground church, really, if you want to call that, and they discuss these things, but try to get out to the mainstream. Satan has done a wonderful job with this. So just to start on Halloween, basically what Halloween is, the worship of Samhain. It's the Knights of Samhain, which is spelled S-A-H-M-A-I-N, for those who want to look it up, and he is the god of the dead. He is really Nimrod, which we have to understand that these gods aren't really gods, they're fallen angels and demons, and that's why they're dressed as gods, because they come as it. A lot of gods in the world have similarities between them, which it's illogical to think that all these different civilizations came together and had the same gods with the same things. But that is besides the point. We will discuss that more later. It is Nimrod, and he is just a god worshipped by a certain group of people. For different cultures have different gods. Samhain, Knights of Samhain are the 29th to the 31st of October. So we celebrate Halloween on the 31st. It's just, we picked one. There are 8 Sabbaths, pagan Sabbaths, throughout the year. And Samhain is, I guess, you could say the most holy, or really the unholy. But they celebrate them, and one group called the Druids, they're Celtics. They came to the British Isles, Scotland area and everything in 900 BC. Now, the Druid priests were basically the officials, I guess you could say, of the Celtics. They decide everything. They were wizards and all kinds of multiple things, and they basically had say over everything. They were kind of like the government, but not truly. Now, they came there in 900 BC, and what they would do is they would create these massive grounds. One of them, as we all know, is Stonehenge. Stonehenge is, yes, it is an, I guess you could say, observatory, but it is really a Druid priest sacrificial ground. And some people may be turned off by that, but their archaeologists have found over 4,000 skeletons under Stonehenge alone. And there's also another one, Avesbury, which is a little bit away from Stonehenge. That one's a mile in circumference, so imagine how big that is. Basically, it was a human sacrificial ceremony to these gods and the other spirits. So what these Druid priests would do is they would go around and go to these grounds, and the first thing they would do is they would set fires, and they would get these big cauldrons, and they would put an apple cider, like more like mead liquid in there, and they would have it boiling. Meanwhile, they would go around to the towns all around. They would go to the nobles' homes and castles and everything. They would go up to these houses, and they would literally say to these people, trick or treat. Now what it was is that the people in the house would have to give a servant or something, and if they didn't have servants, they would give a member of the family. They would give these as sacrifices to the Druids. Now, what the Druids would do is they would bring gourds, turnips, kind of how we do jack-o'-lanterns over here, and they would fill it with human fat. And if they gave over a servant, they would put this on their doorstep in front of their door, and they would light on fire. This would protect them from all the spirits that they would be releasing that night. Now, if the household did not give over somebody, they would take blood, human blood, and they would paint a hexagram on the doors with a circle around it. One thing about that is we think it's a Star of David. The hexagram is the 6-point star. It is the most evil symbol in all of Satanism, paganism, everything. It is the sole symbol needed to conjure up demons and everything. And if you go to testimonies of ex-Satanists, if you look this up, it's very true. And again, Satan is a deceiver. They would paint this on, and what would happen is when they would release these spirits during these practices and these sacrifices, these demons would torment these people. These people literally die from fear and torment from these demons. They would literally be driven to death by fear. Now, some people can see that as a myth, fairy tale, everything. But as Christians, we understand the reality of demons, spirits, and Satan and what they can do, especially to people who do not have the power of the cross, the power of Jesus' name, and faith to ward them off. So what would happen after that is the Druid priest would take the sacrifices that they got, the people, and they would take them to the grounds. I guess you could call it a sick little fair that they would have. So what they would do is, by the time these cauldrons that we discussed would be boiling, they would be 212 degrees. They'd be boiling for hours. So this would literally melt your face off. This is where bobbing apples comes from. What they would do is they would line all these people up, and they would say, we will let you go if you can, and they would throw apples in there. They say, if you can pick up this apple out of the water, mead, with your teeth, we'll let you go. They actually did. They would let the people go. But think about it. These people have to put their faces into boiling cider-like material and somehow get an apple up. This would literally burn their face, go into their eyes, make them blind. Down their throat, respiratory problems. So it was sick. And that's where we get our little bobbing apples from. Cute, huh? If they didn't, if they tried and they did not succeed, the Druid priest would literally behead them right there. Now, to prove this one, archaeologists have indeed found beheaded remains of people under Stonehenge and other places like that. Another thing they would do during all this, if that wasn't enough, they would send the soldiers around because the Druids had authority, and they would go and pick up wicker reeds. Now, I'm sure you all are familiar with wicker, baskets, all that stuff. What they would do with this wicker is they would construct 30-foot monuments, I guess you could say, of a man, resembling of a human. Now, one thing that's very interesting is, if anyone's heard of Burning Man in the Nevada desert, it's basically the reincarnation, I guess you could say, of this particular practice, especially since they have a golden calf outside there as well, which we all know what the golden calf is from. What they would do with these wicker mans is they would make cages in there. and they would put their food sacrifices, their animal sacrifices, and human sacrifices in them, and they would burn this thing to the ground. And that would be their human sacrifices. All the other humans, when they had too many, they would put them in wicker cages as well and sacrifice them. We have to understand that Halloween, the Nights of Samhain, are really a human sacrifice. Truly. Another thing they would do, and probably the most important, is what we have to understand is that there's a spirit world. The Bible talks about this all the time, and we can even see in our Bibles that it makes so many references, but I will just stick to two, because this has to do with it. So we can go to Ephesians 2:2, where in time past you walked according to the course of the world, according to the prince of the power of the air. Now the air is referring to the spirit realm. And we also see in Ephesians 6:12, it keeps mentioning that. Ephesians 6:12, as we all know, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness in this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. What do we think high places are? They're not necessarily, or they're not meaning a tall building or something. We know from the Bible that spirits can come through here, Satan comes through here into the natural realm, and all this. So there's a spirit realm and a natural realm, and we will discuss that further later. But the point I'm trying to make here is the Nights of Samhain, the main thing is because the veil, or the layer, if you want to call it, between the spirit world and the natural realm are the thinnest. So what they would do is they would practice this to bring spirits, demons, everything through here. Just like you hear about mediums, psychics, all this stuff talking about to them. They're communicating through demons to other people there. What they would do is they would bring these people here. For some people who have experienced this, shadows are a wonderful example of demons that can come into this world, and you will see it when you see them running and they hit a bush or something and the bushes move. It's a little creepy, but not, because our Lord wins and we are victorious in Him. What they would do is they would have these big bonfires, these bales, which are another little thing, not as popular, but pretty popular in Halloween. And this would be a beacon, kind of, for the spirits to focus on, the spirit world, for them to come through. Now, the problem with this is that these spirits, these past people, these demons, were not always necessarily nice or compliant. So they had to figure out a way to fix this and protect themselves. So the Druid priests would make up these headgear and these masks, these costumes. And they would make these horrifying faces, these horrifying masks. And it would be to scare the demons and to keep them in check almost. So nowadays we wear masks that are usually horrifying on Halloween. Where do you think that comes from? They would also have costumes, and they would paint multiple symbols on them, because symbols have powers that we need to understand. That's one of the reasons why no graven images is a commandment, because it's almost always used for evil. And you know, it has power behind it. A lot of symbols do. So what they would do is they would do all this, sacrifice them to give them power, and they would let these demons through, protect themselves with all this stuff. And this is not a joke. That's a thing, is that this is all real. This all happened, and this stuff's even being still recreated to this day. In Maryhill, Washington, 1900s, they resurrected this thing, so a little Stonehenge, as a memorial for soldiers fallen in World War I. It's a little weird, isn't it? So what the church has done is they've taken Halloween and done stuff like Harvest Festival and all these things, but it doesn't change the fact that it's evil. We as born-again Christians, we can't do these things and practice in these things and act like it's all alright, because God is watching and He sees us. So if we are doing this stuff, you are still entertaining these spirits and these demons that this is for. You can worship things and gods and everything and come up with the excuse that we're not. Anton LaVey, who is the founder of the Church of Satan, one of the most evil men other than Aleister Crowley, and he said, "I'm so glad that Christian parents let their kids worship Satan at least one night of the year." That is referring to Halloween. Now, yes, it's Samhain, but we also have to understand that they're just fallen angels and demons of Satan. So it really is just a pyramid scheme with Satan at the top. So we have to understand that these are bad. We have churches where people are coming to in costumes. Just today, I went to church, and my wife pointed out that some woman was walking with Halloween stuff all over her sweater. I mean, ignorance, if they don't know, that's bad, but we still have to stop doing these things. We can't practice in these pagan things. God warned us about that in the Torah. He warned us about this constantly. We cannot practice these things. Bobbing apples, satanic. Costumes, satanic. Jack-o'-lanterns, satanic. Trick-or-treat, satanic. We're recreating these things, and Satan has done a wonderful job at covering this up as just some hallmark thing, and it's not. We have to understand this. We really, really do. So, that's basically everything. It's not too much. Some of our discussions will be longer, but that's basically Halloween for you. Nights of Samhain, 29th to the 31st. We definitely encourage you all to research this. For all of our discussions, never trust. We will never lie you, but do not trust what we say. Research this on your own. Take this information. Go out, look it up. You will. The internet is a wonderful, wonderful tool. We just suggest personally that you get multiple references, even for one fact, because it is still the internet. So, that's basically everything. We hope you all enjoyed. We definitely encourage you all to go around and spread this knowledge. Keep doing this. We understand that the world would find it weird if you don't practice Halloween, you don't give out candy, but God said, do not conform to the patterns of this world. We're not supposed to conform. We're supposed to be outsiders, not here. We should have nothing to do with this world, especially its pagan practices. We just hope this helped everyone. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask us. Always contact us. We're always open for a discussion. We're always open for answers and everything, and even for questions. So, with that done, we hope everyone has a blessed night. Everyone has a safe Halloween, and you enjoy the rest of our videos. God bless everybody. Take care.